Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests in Asia, a warm welcome along to King Abdulaziz Racecourse here in Riyadh for the launch of the 2022 Saudi Cup. 2 days of terrific racing taking place here on Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th of February next year. And unveiling the exciting developments behind the now $35 million event with its newly promoted Group 1 feature, I'm delighted to be joined by His Royal Highness Prince Bandar bin Khaled Al Faisal, Chairman of the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia, and also Tom Ryan, Director and also Director of Strategy and International Racing. We'll be taking questions from you very shortly, and if you'd like to take part, please do use the question and answer function on your computers. Before we get to that though, let's remind ourselves of some of the spectacular scenes of the previous two Saudi Cup meetings. So highlights there including Gapano kicking in the Riyadh Dirt Sprint last February and full flat for Yataka Taki in the 2020 Saudi Derby. But to tell us more about the Saudi Cup of 2022, I'll pass things over to His Royal Highness Prince Bandar bin Khaled Al Faisal, Chairman of the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Martin. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you here today for the announcement of the 2021 Saudi Cup, or the third iteration of the Saudi Cup. These are truly exciting times for us. We enter this Saudi Cup as a Part 2 nation, and we're extremely grateful and happy for that. Also, the Saudi Cup has been acknowledged by the IFHA as a Group 1 race, along with a Group 2 race for the Arabian horse, Race Al-Abayya, as well as Group 3 races for all the undercards. This is really a special time for us, and I'm really happy to see that all the effort by all the team here at the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia is coming to fruition. I think this is an acknowledgement and an indication that the work in improving the horse racing environment in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is acknowledged and appreciated across the world, and we will continue to work to improve this environment in the upcoming years. We'll continue to support the Saudi Cup and push for it to be a permanent fixture in the international calendar. We're very grateful and happy for the support we got from the international racing community in supporting the Saudi Cup and joining us in this truly special event. It was received really, really well globally over the past 2 years. As everyone knows, last year was a very difficult time for all sports and horse racing in particular. But we managed to put forward the Saudi Cup and the meet in the best possible way, and we're very grateful for everyone who joined us last year and the wonderful results we had since then. We're all hopeful that this year will be a lot better than last year, but I think our experience last year in the Saudi Cup prepared us for any possible outcome, no matter what the situation is in the upcoming months. But we're all very hopeful that as the global economy and the world starts to open up, we will be able to welcome all enthusiasts here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to come and join us in this very, very special event. I'm going to keep my comments to a minimum and allow for questions and answers, and also for Tom to really get into more details about the Saudi Cup. And I think I'll just save the time for everyone. So thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Prince Bandar. And just a reminder, if you do have a question for Prince Bandar, please do use the question and answer function, and we'll come to those very shortly. But as Prince Bandar said, we could also hear now from Tom Ryan, the Director of Strategy and International Racing.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you for everybody joining online today. I suppose in my position, I reflect back over the last 2.5 years, a very eventful time for us. When Prince Bandar explained the vision to me for Saudi Cup, I saw it immediately as an unbelievable opportunity to put Saudi Arabia right in the middle of the horse racing community at a world level. Over the last 2 years, we've built the project, we've overcome the obstacles and challenges we've faced, but done so successfully. And now we're on the cusp of we're deep into the middle of a year 3 preparation, and everything is going quite well so far. Reflecting on the Part 2 promotion, obviously something that we're very, very proud of here, to have the races introduced to the pattern. I think it reflects a wider development of the industry in the Kingdom. It's not just about 2 days of racing in February. There is a development of the industry here, I think, that will be very exciting to follow and to keep working on over the next couple of years. We continue to be guided by the primary principle where we started in April of 2019, in terms of putting the horse first. They are the athletes, they are they're the reason why we're here. And I hope that continuing principle will give connections, trainers and owners around the world the confidence to continue to support us with their very best horses. Everything from airport logistics to quarantine to stabling to the training facilities and the veterinary care that we put on here, we're absolutely convinced that it's world class, and we will continue to be to operate at that level consistently in the coming months and years. As I reflect on the Saudi Cup itself, I suppose over 2 years, first we've had an American winner, a very strong American result in the first year, 4 of the first 5 home American trained. And last year, earlier this year, 8 months ago, a European winner through Mishrif. And obviously you track through then Mishrif with his 2 Group 1 wins on turf, and you tend to then understand the versatility of the dirt surface that we have. So we strongly believe that more or less a horse trained anywhere in the world can come and operate at its optimal capacity here. Again, looking at it from a horse racing perspective, I think there's real strength and depth in the undercard. You think of the statistics that are starting to emerge here. Little things like the first year we had a Melbourne Cup winner come to see us, previous Melbourne Cup winner running the 3,000 metres turf. Twilight Payment then ran in the same race and won the Melbourne Cup later that year in 2020. We look 8 months ago, when we had the likes of Space Blues be very impressive here in the turf sprint. He's went on to only a few weeks ago win his Group 1 in France, and we look forward to obviously supporting him and cheering for him in the Breeders' Cup in the coming weeks. The other emerging trend that we're seeing is that horses that come here tend to go back to their regions, their home countries, and perform very strongly domestically. So that gives you a sense that coming to Riyadh is a very important part of the horses' preparation in their season, and they tend to excel after they arrive. We're hopeful then that all of these statistics that are emerging will continue to give the trainers and the connections, as I said earlier, the confidence to send us their very best horses. And I see the Saudi Cup and its weekend of racing continuing to contribute a very valuable contribution to world racing. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Tom. And again, any questions for Tom, please use the question and answer function, and we'll come to those very shortly. But as you can see, exciting times for racing here in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Cup now a Group 1, 5 additional thoroughbred races on the Saturday being awarded Group 3 status, with over £35 million in prize money. And just this week, the Abaya Arabian Classic was awarded Group 2 status as well. So we'll come to your questions now, and first off to Prince Bandar. Last year, the Saudi Cup had a Saudi Arabian-owned winner in Mishrif, carrying the colours of Prince Faisal. How significant was it for you that a locally owned horse beat the world's best mile-and-a-quarter horses here in Riyadh? And how has those jubilant scenes in the winner's enclosure filtered down throughout the Saudi racing community?
Well, I think, despite all the COVID restrictions we had last year, I can safely say that locally, at least, the Saudi Cup last year was received very well here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia because of, obviously, a Saudi-owned horse won. And for us, it's special, but we really feel happy no matter what the nationality of the owners or where the horse is trained. I think it's an indication of just how international this race is. I think Tom mentioned that we've seen, Mishrif, that horse was here in the first Saudi Cup and went on to really develop into the horse he is today, and continues to perform amazingly. Next Go is another horse we're very proud of, who qualified, I think in the Pegasus, and came over. And yes, this year we see him perform to levels that are just tremendous, and we're really, really happy for all the connections associated with that. But yes, I think the effect in general of the Saudi Cup on horse racing in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been phenomenal. I really did not imagine the reception this event would have. I think I wouldn't be exaggerating if I said last year's Saudi Cup was one of the biggest sports events here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It was followed by almost every household. We have COVID to thank for that because everybody was indoors watching this on TV. But it was a very, very special event, and we're really happy for all the connections.
And you touched on how international the race has become. That was seen in Newmarket just this week with a horse called Grocer Jack, bought for 700,000 guineas. How pleased are you to see the international sales with people going there to buy horses specifically to target the Saudi Cup?
I think owners obviously know what they're doing, and there are wonderful horses across the world, and people will do that for any international race. Obviously, Saudi owners would be, motivated more than others to perform well and participate in the Saudi Cup. So I'm very happy with that. And this is really the effect of these large international races. If you look all the way from Japan, throughout Asia, Hong Kong, and now Korea and Singapore are moving really, really strongly through the Gulf region here, and Europe, and the US and Australia. There are a number of these large international races that owners always have in their mind, provided that the conditions are favorable with their horses. So I think you'll see that not only for the Saudi Cup, for all of these big races.
And Tom, Prince Bandar touched on the Pegasus, obviously a qualifying race for the Saudi Cup, but we've got new qualifying races this year over in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously very happy with the Japanese support so far. I mean, they've been quite dominant in the Saudi Derby by way of example. Material Sky come and run admirably in two visits here in the sprint. The year 2 Saudi Cup, we had a qualifier for the Saudi Cup and the sprint. This year we've supported that with 2 further qualifiers, one for the Niam Cup, 2,100 metre, 10 furlongs, and for the turf sprint as well. We've seen a trend where the Japanese would come and they take a regional view of it, so many of them would travel on to Dubai to take up the Dubai World Cup, and obviously we continue to work very strongly with our friends and neighbours in Dubai to make sure that pattern of movement is as easy as possible. Again, on the horse, that is the most important consideration in our mind. They're the ones that do most of the work, so we must take utmost care to make it easiest on them.
And you touched as well, Tom, on the fact that Saudi Arabia has been upgraded from a Part 3 to a Part 2 racing nation. Can you explain how that was achieved, and if you've been surprised at just how quickly you managed to achieve that?
Well, no. I mean, I think it's a sign of the comprehensive approach that the Jockey Club have taken to developing their horse racing interests in the last 2.5 years in particular. I mean, the structures are very clearly stated through the Asian Pattern Committee initially. We managed to put a very comprehensive proposal to them. And again, the Part 2 promotion, as we know, is a wider reflection of the industry as a whole. It's not just about the 2 days of racing. Very thankful for the support and guidance that the Asian Pattern Committee have given us, and obviously that their recommendation went forward into the IFHA and their structures as well. So the last 2 or 3 months have been very, very exciting. While we're glad to have achieved that, Part 1 membership is the ultimate goal. So very thankful for everybody's efforts, but now we knuckle down, we redouble our efforts, and over the next number of years we'll work towards that Part 1 status and ability where we feel comfortable to put that application in.
And given you've got that ambition, Tom, would you be hoping that there are going to be other races upgraded in the short to medium term?
Yeah, I mean, again, the bedrock of the Part 2 promotion, and why it was unanimously accepted by all committees along the journey, was they could see the strength and depth in the industry here. Many of the Group 3 races that were given that grading right now were verging on Group 2, as it was. It was at the upper echelons of the Group 3 bracket. And for me, as you look to develop an industry, almost as exciting as that is the domestic racing. There's a handful of domestic races that are right there on the verge of a pattern introduction. And we look forward to continuing to work with the Asian Pattern Committee over the next 12, 18, 24 months to continue putting them on the list as they get strong enough.
And Prince Bandar, on a similar theme, looking at the upgrading from Part 3 to Part 2, Bill Esdale's asked, did you ever envisage the growth of racing in Saudi in such a short space of time?
Well, we were all very hopeful. The Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia's board was very clear in where they wanted horse racing to go, and myself, the team in the Jockey Club, Tom and his team have been working really hard to push for that. We're very grateful for the Asian Patent Committee and really their guidance in this matter. But I think the promotion of Saudi Arabia to a Part 2 country, and in the not too distant future hopefully will continue to a Part 1 country, is a reflection of the seriousness of the work we're doing here, not only in improving the quality of horse racing here, but also the attention we're providing for horse welfare in general. And we're taking that very, very seriously. And I think better things will come in the future.
And you touched on many people watching from home last year. It was a huge shame you couldn't sell tickets for the Saudi Cup in its second year. How much are you looking forward to welcoming racegoers and spectators back for 2022? We're
very much looking forward to that. As you know, globally, horse racing now is opening up and is receiving visitors in all of the venues across the world. We have done the same here. There are obviously some guidelines and guidance, health guidances that will be in place. I'm very, very hopeful that the situation will improve on a global level and we can open up completely and return to normal. But if that is not the case, I think last year's experience has taught us that we're ready for anything and we will adapt as need be.
Very good. Tom, a question's come in online and someone asks you, what's so unique about the dirt surface here that means horses can switch seemingly quite comfortably between racing on both dirt and turf? And I guess Mishrif, the point in question, coming here on the dirt and going out to Dubai and winning the Shima Classic.
Yeah, I mean, that issue has been hotly debated over the last 2 years, particularly since there has been more international focus on the track. I suppose historically speaking, any of the riders in particular that have come here over the last 15 or 20 years, you know, things like Olivier Pellier, Frankie Dettori and these people would always have returned back. Even Mike Smith, when he came here for the first time 2 years ago, I think he took a little bag of that material home to have it analysed. The secret to it is closely held by people who are left with that responsibility. My understanding is that it rests with a local sand that they use, how it's mixed, how it's maintained with a little bit of clay and a little bit of wood chip as well to give it some life. So maintained by very, very good people. It's a situation that the club has always had that from the outset, so that has been the really good initial plus that we were able to build on. And I can't think of anybody who has been dissatisfied with the surface, regardless of what country they've come from, over the last 2 years.
And not just with the dirt surface, but the turf surface as well. We've seen horses come here, Space Blues you mentioned as well. What is it about coming out to Saudi Arabia that sees that form translate, not back into Europe, but internationally?
Well, again, I'd like to think that it was just the care and custody of the horse that we've concentrated on. You know, we've been absolutely meticulous about the travel, how they're accepted. You know, we know that we're only 45 minutes, an hour away from the airport. The people in the airport have done an unbelievable job across a range of agencies to make sure the horses are kept moving. The quarantine facilities here are top class. And we have people who know what they're doing. We know what the horsemen expect when they get here. Everything from the quarantine facilities to even the villas that are on site here for the grooms to be close to their horses at the time, how we arrange the training. You mentioned the turf track. Obviously, it was one of our initiatives the first year to implement and produce a turf track. We saw that mature into the second season to include some domestic racing on it as well. Very favourable feedback from the jockeys who rode it year one into year two, and we expect that trend to continue to be literally like the dirt track, one of the best turf surfaces you can find.
And Prince Bandar, there's been talk of developing an international racing season here as a high priority. How much would you like to advance the calendar here to have an international presence throughout your whole season?
I think Tom touched upon some of that, and when he mentioned that you know, some of the local races are on the verge of being recognized and listed, and perhaps would make it to a Group 3 someday and then on to a Group 2, I think is an indication of improving the horse racing environment here. And one of the areas we're working on is opening up our local season here to international participants. And I think we're growing in confidence more now that we feel we are able to not only host dirt racing and dirt racing horses, but also on the turf, where we're relatively comfortable now that we can provide a much longer season on the turf, and we will support and open up our local races on an international level. And I think you'll see more and more international participation in this part of the world for two reasons. The winter season is a slow season anywhere else, and we can put forward some really interesting races that, well, actually we do at the moment, and I think it'll be attractive for many international owners to visit this part of the world. And I think the prize money also in the regular season here, I mean, a lot of people know about the Saudi Cup, but what they don't know is there's really good prize money throughout the season here. And I think the combination of the two will attract many international races in the future.
And not just international horses and trainers we've had here, but also international jockeys. The Jockeys Challenge back, Tom, for 2022. Can you reflect on the success of that, of bringing together male jockeys, female jockeys, and that international element to the Friday here?
Yeah, I mean, it's an element of the event itself that deserves its own little bracket within the whole thing. Something that we discussed in depth the first year, having 14 riders, 7 men, 7 women. They compete absolutely equally throughout the afternoon. We're in the third year now. I suppose we're aware that the strength and depth of jockeys around the world is, you know, there's a huge pool of riders to pick from. So we're in our third rotation now. We're reaching out to jockeys to see their availability or whatever. Looking forward to maybe see Shane Foley back as the winner of last year. We'll add 13 more to that, and a slight change. We're going to challenge them a little bit differently this year. We ran 4 dirt races the first 2 years. We're going to add a turf race to that, just to keep them on their toes and challenge all their skills. But something, again, that has been a nice addition to the overall weekend, something that's been very successful, and something we continue to maybe build momentum with.
Well, as you can see, plenty to look forward to here for Saudi Cup 2022. The dates for your diaries, Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th of February next year. Many thanks to Prince Bandar and to Tom. Thanks to you for joining us as well, and we look forward to welcoming as many of you as possible to the Saudi Cup 2022.